This is a turbo German rig and it's absolutely perfect to be used with a wafter or maybe even a bottom bait, whether you're fishing this over a baited patch or just a clear area where you want something that's a low-lying presentation but still lots of movement in the hook and the hook bait and also the resetting properties that come with this rig. It's a really versatile rig to be used, as I said, with wafters or bottom baits, and it's also one of those rigs that, although all rigs come and go with popularity depending on who's using them, who's pushing them, I swear at one point you couldn't put on a quarter film, for example, where there weren't at least one or two anglers using this exact setup. So it's a popular rig, it's caught lots of fish, they're proof in it. I've never really used the Turbo German myself because I've just opted for other options, but I can see why it's a popular rig, and it's super simple to tie up. So I'm going to show you how quick and easy it is to tie this up with the use of the Gemini Tidy Booms. Now, this is a series that we've been running with Gemini the last few months. The last two were the Ronnie rig and also the stiff hinge, and this one, of course, is going to be the Turbo German. So just to quickly run through what you can get in a pack of these, you get 3 in a pack, available for £4.09 starting price, and they're available in 3 different lengths, whether you go for the 9-inch, 7-inch or 5.5-inch, but all the other principles are exactly the same. They're a £30 breaking strain, 100% fluorocarbon with I think it's a refractive index rating of 1.42, which what that means in basic terms is it's almost exactly the same as the refractive index rating of water. So when fluorocarbon goes into water, and these in particular, they almost completely disappear. So it's really hard for the fish to detect or see, which is a really big benefit of fluorocarbon. They've also got fused loops, which is much stronger than what you can get with tying any knot, because there's no kind of knot that beds into itself and is already going to cause a weakness in that line. Because this uses a fused loop technology, they're way stronger than any kind of knot you could ever try and tie. So they're super strong, they reset nicely, they're virtually invisible in water, they're regimented, so if you tie up 3 of these from a pack, they're all going to be exactly the same. And that's probably the reason why over 1 million items of these have been sold worldwide, all shipped from the UK because it's all UK made. Now let's get on to actually tying one of these up. I'm going to use the 5.5-inch length. That's just because I've used these on all the other videos so far, so let's keep it all the same. One end is the fused loop that I've just talked about, but at the other end, the business end, is a size 11 spinner swivel without a ring. So it's slightly different. You may have seen on the Ronnie setup that I did the other month, there's a bigger ring and a bit of a loop, so there's a bit more movement there because it's a pop-up presentation and it's moving around. This doesn't have that larger loop, it's just a size 11 spinner swivel fused straight onto this fluorocarbon boom. So you've got the spinning action straight down the angle of the hook, I suppose. So this isn't built to be a pop-up presentation at all. It's low level lying, hook flat on the deck with the wafter just above it, or maybe even a bottom bait. So that's what I'm going to be using. Hook-wise, I'm opting for a size 4 curve shank, which I haven't got one out yet, so I'll quickly grab that, because I think that's the best presentation or best hooking potential, the look of it. It's similar to how I tie up a Ronnie. I like the look of a curve shank on this sort of setup, so that's the sort of hook I'm going to be using. There's a couple other bits you're going to need from here. Is a micro hook ring swivel if you like to floss on your baits, or a micro hook ring screw, which is what I like to use because they're much quicker just to change your hook bait, and obviously a bead to stop that from moving around on the shank of the hook, and a little bit of shrink tube. So take your shrink tube first, slide that down onto your hook, so that's in position ready to be attached to the boom. Once that's on, you get your boom. This was the discussion last time, which way round do you hook it onto your hook? Do you have the gate open, the back of the hook, on the front? It makes no difference to me, it's completely down to perfect personal preference. So attach the hook through the eye, and then you want to tease your tubing down over that swivel. Now I've opted for a tubing which is just big enough to go over that, so it's a bit of a struggle to try and do on camera, but if you choose one that's more dedicated to the size, this should be a little bit easier. But there we are, bit of teasing without hooking myself. That should slide down over the swivel. Close that gape ever so slightly, so there's no way that hook can come off. But now these are really easy to change, so these booms will outlast your hooks probably every single time. So if you want to change the hook, keep the booms, you just cut this bit of tubing off, or if you use one of those little sleeves that you saw in the Ronnie video last time, you can change the hook really easily, just like so. So there we are, I've now got the tubing over to about the position I want. I'm not going to go all the way down to the barrel of the hook, because I still want some movement from this swivel. So if you can see, that hook will go, or the part of the swivel where you attach your hook, has a bit of movement into the barrel. So I'm push that as far in as it will go, and the tubing just isn't about to touch. It was just about to touch the barrel, but isn't. So that means that it doesn't matter what that hook does, going forward or backwards, it's not going to stop from spinning on the barrel. Hope that makes sense. Now this is where you steam it, but if you're going to steam it, make sure you don't get too close to the fluorocarbon booms, because it can damage it if you do excess heat. But because this is just metal on metal, just a lighter to shrink that down like so. All done. You can tease this into a shape that you want, but pretty much how that's done by itself is the perfect shape. Cool that down, whisk it in the mouth, got away with it, pulled it down. So there we are. Hook is now attached to the boom, as simple as that. Grab your micro hook ring swivel, or like I said, in this case, I'm using one of the little hook ring screws, just a lot easier. And then your bead, which you need to slide down to keep that hook ring swivel from sliding off. And once that's on, I move it around the hook. That's what's going to hold your hook bait in position. You can position this exactly where you want, depends on how far you want your hook bait to be able to move down the shank of the hook. But pretty much opposite the barb is where I'd leave mine, so there's that much movement with the hook bait. And that is pretty much the rig done. All we've got to do now is add my hook bait. So a little 15mm wafter, ever so slightly board it out because these hooks are quite big. Screw that down on. And that is the rig complete. All I need to do now is add a little anti-tangle sleeve, or how I can attach that onto a lead clip presentation or helicopter, however I want to fish it, and we are absolutely done. So as quick as that, I've got a really effective wafter presentation or bottom bait rig ready to go. Really simple, didn't take very long at all. So if you're someone that doesn't like tying rigs, wants something quick and easy to tie something like this up, then Gemini is your go-to. They also do completely ready done ones as well, so if you don't even like using up your own hooks and things like that, you can get completely ready tied ones as well. But if you're like me, I like to still choose my own hook patterns, my own bait screws, things like that. Just make it a bit like how I want them. But as simple as that, the rig is done. So for more information, do head over to the Gemini website. As I said, a pack of these starts at £4.09 for 3. So it really doesn't cost too much. And remember, these will outlive your hooks a long time. So you'll be able to keep using them fish after fish. That's everything from me for now. Cheers for watching. Do go back and watch the Ronnie video or the stiff hinge, and make sure to subscribe to us and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any future uploads, because we've got several more in the series from Gemini on different rigs to tie up using their tidy booms.